Hello and welcome to our second Lammermuir Festival podcast. I'm Hugh MacDonald.
And I'm James Waters. There's less than a week to go before we open the 2024 festival, our 15th, and excitement is mounting. Starting on Thursday, the 5th of September, we've lined up 38 concerts of fantastic classical music performed by some really superb artists in venues all across our lovely county of East Lothian. You can find details of all of them and book tickets on our website at lammermuirfestival.co.uk.
And you'll find that some are already sold out, but there still are tickets available for a good many of our concerts. So if you haven't got round to it yet, do have a look at the website. There really is something for everybody, from opera, Britain's heartwarming comedy Albert Herring at Haddington Corn Exchange, to Baroque music from the amazing Concerto Copenhagen, to visionary American pianist Jeremy Denk, to a brilliant tango band playing Piazzolla. There's even a red hedgehog, but we'll explain that later.
What you'll get in these podcasts is festival news and what we're sure will be fascinating insights from some of our visiting musicians. We have three to talk to today, and we're going to kick off with someone who's become a really good friend of the festival. He's not only one of the world's finest pianists, but an incredibly articulate writer on music and someone who comes up with some of the most interesting programmatic ideas of any musician in the world today.
That was Jeremy Denk playing Beethoven.
So, Jeremy, this is going to be your third visit to the Lammermuir Festival, which for us is absolutely fantastic. I think your first visit just about started with Charles Ives, and you're diving into a deep bath of Charles Ives this time. Why is Ives such an important composer for you?
That's a big question. Of course, this year is the 150th birthday. I had some teachers who led me into the magic of Ives, the combination of kind of a spiritual searching and a willingness to experiment, a combination of wild humor and incredible tenderness. I think I actually love Ives's harmonies. I think he's the most incredible, imaginative, harmonic thinker. I could come up with hundreds of reasons why Ives has become such an important part of my life, but he requires advocates and he requires committed performers. And Maria is such an amazing performer. So I really wanted to do this set with her at Lammermuir, of course.
So, Jeremy, you've got a remarkable recital program, which is full of an awful lot of music that nobody will have heard before and a number of interesting names. But I mean, how do you go about pulling a program like that together? What was the background to it?
A lot of these are COVID discoveries, but as I kept researching various things, I found pieces that I was fascinated by that I thought needed to be played more. Tanya Leon's piece Ritual is an amazing piece of piano virtuosity and compositional ferocity. The Crawford Seeger Etude on Rhythms is another amazing piece that is almost impossible to program in normal circumstances, but what a astonishing piece of musical modernism and thinking. I love Missy Mazzoli's piece Heartbreaker, which combines sort of minimalism with the Schubert sense of harmonic progressions. And I just kept bridging between older pieces by women and newer pieces to kind of have this dialogue. It's basically 10 pieces, old and new, going back and forth. And I wanted to create a spell of these women's voices over time.
And do you play them? Do you play them as a sequence, or as it chopped up into groups, or how does it work? Is there a kind of narrative through the first half of the program?
It's kind of a set. It's a big. I just sit down and play, and hopefully, there's no applause theoretically. It just kind of bridges from old to new, and then ends with that astonishingly beautiful piece by Amy Beach, Dreaming, which is sort of Schumann, eat your heart out situation. Gorgeous applied harmonies and an endlessly unfolding melody. I think that that's one of the real discoveries for me. Is she was an astonishing composer at her best, Amy Beach. Yeah.
And you're playing two concerts with the Valo Quartet, which of course Maria Włoszczowska leads. Jeremy, and each concert features a major piece for piano and strings by Fauré. Are you going through a bit of a Fauré phase at the moment?
You may know that Stephen Israelis, Joshua Bell, and I, and various other people are doing a big Wigmore festival at the beginning of November, in which we're more or less playing all the Fauré chamber music for piano and strings, and that's to celebrate his 150th or 100th death anniversary. So. And Stephen, of course, one of the world great interpreters of this music, so I really wanted to do it with him. And I have been immersing myself in that harmonic language and its quirks and its joys. It's a perfect fit for me to bring this music to Lammermuir because I really feel I've begun over the summer and the preceding spring to live and breathe this way of writing, which is unlike any other composers, really, in a profound way.
He's unique, isn't he? And I think still there is a kind of prejudice again about Fauré that he was a miniaturist or whatever. He wrote on a small scale. He didn't write symphonies, for example. But what do you think about? Do you think his reputation is being renewed? Has changed?
It's funny because I'm used to dealing with Ives, where there's many more skeptical people. But you're right. In the classical music world, there are skeptics about Fauré. And there are reasons for that, because the music is somewhat hard to parse. And also, like Ives' music needs advocates who can see through the labyrinth, if you will. His forms are sometimes harder to grasp at first listen, or second listen, or third listen. On the other hand, within that music are such incredible wonders and kind of revelations that it does strike me as odd that people don't play, especially the quintets, a little bit more. The quartets are super popular and they work more or less in the way that conventional romantic chamber music usually does. The quintets go into this kind of Henry Jamesian long sentences, things about things, keeps evading cadences and looking. But again, I'd use the word epiphany, and I'd use the Proust analogy, because Proust also loved Fauré. It's this endless kind of musical searching for some unity or revelation or combination of things. And that's what he's after. And that is, for me, such a joy to experience as a performer.
Yeah, it's interesting that when Fauré died in 1924, of course, no less a figure than Aaron Copland wrote a very passionate essay about how the world needs Fauré. And he was at that time very neglected completely, or neglected outside France. And Copland was particularly keen on the quintets, the piano quintets, actually.
I know he wrote something lovely about the C minor quintet. I actually forget which one we're doing at Lammermuir, since I'm doing them all.
You're doing the first one.
The D minor, yeah.
Yeah.
The C minor, for me, has all these miracles where Fauré is incredibly modern harmony, but also looking back to Machaut and kind of Renaissance counterpoint. this somewhat abstract way of thinking. But the D minor, I have to say, the opening theme of the D minor quintet is one of the most astonishingly successful long musical sentences I've ever played. Yeah, it's very hard to write a tune that carries through over such a vast, 6 or 7 pages of music, constantly leading you forward from one ravishing harmony change to another. It's like there's not even Brahms has trouble with that sometimes, So and the slow movement of the D minor quintet also has this timeless unfolding of dissonances and beauty. It's not like any other slow movement I can think of in the world of chamber music. And
no, I like the English composer Robin Holloway is very keen on Fauré, and he's written some lovely stuff about him. And there's one sentence: "Rarely in all music is the appetite so exactly satisfied by Fauré's music."
It's fantastic hearing you to talk about this. It makes the 2 concerts that you're doing with the Valo Quartet on the 9th and the 11th a pretty irresistible project, and we really look forward to seeing you there.
I'm looking forward too.
We were talking to Jeremy Denk there. Then the first of Jeremy's 4 concerts is his epic birthday event for Charles Ives on Friday the 6th of September in Dunbar. Check out the Lammermuir Festival website for details and tickets. And as we mentioned, Jeremy's partnered in that concert by Polish violinist Maria Włoszczowska, and we'll be talking to her a little later.
But first, something very different. Way back in 2010, in our first Lammermuir Festival, we did our first Lammermuir journey with the Navarra Quartet, who we reckon might be mad enough to play 3 concerts in 3 different venues on the same day. They were, and ended up, very tired, because I was driving them around, playing the Schubert Quintet in Preston Kirk. It was a really special experience. But we've done it a couple of times since, and this year on the 2nd Saturday, we're doing it again. The group who are mad enough to undertake the journey this time are called ZRI, which stands for Zum Roten Igel, the Red Hedgehog. What's that all about? Well, earlier we spoke to the group's clarinet player, Ben Harlan. I'll let him explain.
Right. So the Red Hedgehog Tavern was a tavern in Vienna where the likes of Brahms and Schubert would go and listen to the music that was coming in from the immigrants from around Vienna at the time, gypsy musicians, klezmer musicians, all kinds of musicians from around the area. And they drew inspiration from that music. And for example, we have Brahms's Hungarian dances, and also, in fact, there's a picture of Brahms where he is a silhouette with a little hedgehog following him, a little red hedgehog. And Schubert was famously lithographed listening to various kinds of gypsy music in the woods and being inspired by that. And you can hear those inspirations in Schubert's music, particularly in some of the parts of the string quintet that we cover, as it were, that we have rearranged. So the Red Hedgehog, Zum Roten Igel, the Red Hedgehog Tavern, was where they would go and listen to this music. And the band, well, it started in my imagination 13 years ago now. I am a clarinet player. I've always loved the Brahms Clarinet Quintet, and I've actually always loved that Schubert String Quintet as well. That's been a close personal family favorite. But I felt like these pieces of music didn't have the instrumentation didn't reflect the grittiness and punchiness of the actual music, as it were. And so as a clarinet player, I always felt dissatisfied playing Brahms with a string quartet, the Brahms Quintet, which is where the project started. I wanted to incorporate the instrumentations that these musicians would have heard. I wanted to make a group that reflected the times of those composers and sort of bring these things to life. I mean, nowadays you can cover pop records, you can cover songs in any way which you want. You can cover folk music anyhow you like. You can cover jazz music in any instrumentation you want. Why aren't we doing this with classical music? People do it with Shakespeare. Let's start doing it with classical music. Let's start bringing other things to light through the orchestrations, but also something that we do in ZRI, we try to bring to light the actual music that those composers would have heard on the street in the tavern, which is why when we perform our repertoire, we duck and dive between the actual dots on the manuscript and folk tunes, gypsy tunes, klezmer tunes, Hungarian tunes from around the area when they were listening and preparing their own scores.
Yeah, it's a fantastically rich way of listening to these pieces. I think for us at Lammermuir Festival, you're doing what we call a Lammermuir journey, which is you're effectively playing 3 concerts in one day. How do you feel about that? Have you done that before? Have you played all 3 of these pieces before?
No, that's a big lot, actually. I mean, I think it's going to be great fun. What we are used to doing is jumping from one piece of repertoire to another very quickly in the space of a concert, or in over an hour. So no, it won't be a problem. Sort of, I think it probably the driving about will be the thing, or maybe the setting up. No, I think.
Oh, we thought you might like to walk.
Oh, right, okay. I mean, the accordion and the sandoria are the ones that are difficult to transport, I guess. Yeah. So no,
So-
it'll be fine.
Can you talk a bit about the actual instrumental makeup of the group?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a clarinet player. I also play bass clarinet. Then we've got Matthew Sharp on the cello, but he's also a great baritone singer. And so we do some songs in various parts of the concerts. And then we've got Max on violin, Max Bailey. He's a fantastic violinist. He has led orchestras and performs concertos sometimes. Matt is also a soloist as a cellist. And in fact, Matt, as a singer, recently played Sweeney Todd in Sweeney Todd, which I saw. He was fantastic. And then we've got John Banks on the accordion, a great accordionist, and he arranges a lot of the music for us as well. And then in rehearsals, we make various changes to how he's done his arrangements. And then Iris Pitheridis plays the sandori, and that is a hammered dulcimer. Yeah, she's great, and she in fact was learning the instrument when she joined the group, and is now a real kind of a world expert, I'd say. One of the few players that can play all the dots of a classical score and also play a lot of her traditional Greek Cypriot music and improvise in Hungarian style and things like that. So yeah, clarinet, violin, cello, accordion, sandori.
And the sequence in East Lothian starts in Humby, which is a beautiful little church hidden down in a valley, at 10:30 in the morning. You start with a Schubert quintet, and then after lunch you move on to the village of Stenton, which is very picturesque and has a very nice church. And you're doing Brahms and the Gypsy there.
Yep, that's the Brahms quintet.
That's the Brahms clarinet quintet. And then at 4:30, in another nice village church, you finish with Janacek, Love, Mania, and Murder. And that's Janacek's Kreutzer string quartet. That's in a way the kind of the odd one out, because of course Janacek wasn't living in Vienna. He wasn't going for a drink at the Red Hedgehog. But he was very, very steeped in the folk music of Bohemia and so on.
Absolutely. And I think the Janacek is our maybe our pass into a different mode of being a band at the moment. We've sort of gone from our roots, the exploring the music that was directly influenced, and we, as I said before, the kind of the story of the ensemble, we've gone from that to maybe via the Janacek into realms where we actually just want to be a chamber ensemble where we play the things that we enjoy, what we like. We don't have to have this referencing all the time. And the Janacek is, I suppose, that this is our way forward into that. It's still got a narrative that I think we enjoy, a narrative through a program, and the narrative of the music itself, the fact that it's related to this story, the Kreutzer sonata. It has this love and this mania. You'll be able to hear Matt singing actually some other songs. In fact, when we performed this piece before, we've always felt that when we get to the end of this Janacek, which is so full on, it's kind of crazed. It's got so much passion in it, so much sort of stabby kind of qualities, and violence. It feels as though what one needs to leave the audience with maybe a moment of reflection, of uplift. And one of the way we sort of achieved that through our programming is that Matt then very beautifully sings a rendition of Smile by Charlie Chaplin. And it seems very relevant because the lyrics are smile though your heart is breaking. It brings a tear, I think, to both the band and the audience when we get to that point, just because we can also feel that Janacek's music is living on in our hearts today through that. Maybe that song allows us to sort of steep ourselves in it a bit more, if that makes sense.
So one of the things about this group is the performances have a huge buzz about them. And the last time I saw you were the only people I've ever known who brought a lunchtime concert audience in Perth to its feet. So it should be a really, really exciting day. And thank you so much for being mad enough to do it.
No, it's fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks so much for having me here.
And ZRI's Lammermuir journey is on Saturday, the 14th of September, starting at 10:30 a.m. in Humby Church. They then move to Stenton, and after that to East Linton. You don't have to go to all three concerts. You can choose one or two, or do the whole day, and there's plenty of time between them to have a bite to eat. You might even fancy walking some of the way, say from Stenton to East Linton. Have a look at our website, lammermuirfestival.co.uk, and you'll get details, including timings.
Now, another fabulous musician who's become a great friend over several festivals is the Polish violinist Maria Włoszczowska. As you've heard, she's partnering Jeremy Denk in a huge concert where she plays all 4 violin sonatas by American composer Charles Ives. As if that wasn't enough, she'll also be leading her own Valo string quartet in 2 concerts with Jeremy and playing a concerto with the Royal Northern Sinfonia. We had a word with Maria.
It's good to talk to you. Do tell us about this amazing first concert that you're involved in with Jeremy Denk, the birthday party for Charles Ives. What is it like to take on playing all of those sonatas, the 4 sonatas by Charles Ives?
I'm so thrilled that we can bring this project to the Lammermuir Festival. We have done them at the Wigmore Hall a few months ago, and it was the first time for me playing all of them. I actually met Jeremy at Lammermuir playing the second violin sonata by Ives, and Ives was completely new to me at the time, and I'd never played any of his music, and that was my introduction to him and to Jeremy's playing. So it's a kind of nice, it's a nice full circle, if you like. I've learned very quickly to completely adore both playing with Jeremy and the incredible mind of Charles Ives. And when Jeremy asked me to do the full cycle, I was incredibly excited and also totally terrified, because I was very aware that it really is Jeremy's language in a way. He spent so much time and passion and putting his heart into learning Ives's music, but not just learning how to play it really well, but I think really living and breathing it and translating the complexity of the composition into something that is instantly relatable to even to audiences that have never heard this music before. So when we started rehearsing them in London, I had learned the notes and I tried to understand as much as I possibly could, but I was incredibly daunted, I have to admit. But he was so graceful in welcoming me to this very particular world. And we spent an amazing week working on them together. And I felt like a different person when I came out of that experience. And it was incredibly exciting also to present such unbelievably good music to a very discerning audience of the Wigmore Hall, and also knowing that probably most of the people there will never have heard those pieces before. That was a very special experience for me. And anyway, playing anything with Jeremy is just is really like flying on a high. So I'm very, very much looking forward to that again.
So obviously there was a remarkable musical relationship that you struck up very quickly. It's quite funny, actually. I mean, we put you together. You knew nothing about each other, and I sent texts to each of you after the first rehearsal, slightly nervously saying, "How did it go?" And you both came back saying this was a wonderful relationship. You've moved on to do some chamber music with him as well, with the Valor Quartet. Can you talk a bit about the quartet and also about maybe the foray pieces that you're doing?
Yes, I'm so happy I can introduce the quartet to Jeremy. Actually, one of the members, Amy, the cellist, knows him from her own festival in Belgium. So it'll be nice for them to reconnect as well. And I'm so glad that we're doing chamber works by Fauré. Fauré is one of my favorite composers. Also, I feel slightly underrated and often thought of, especially his late works, are often considered not so approachable and a bit weird. But I think that's a big mistake. So hopefully we will prove everyone wrong. And I've never played any Fauré with Jeremy, so also incredibly looking forward to that. And the quartet, it will be their first time in the Northeast. We've started, it was a bit of a crazy idea. We've known each other from different festivals for many, many years. They're all very close friends of mine. We live in 4 different countries. And we've decided to give this a go during lockdown, living in 4 different countries. So you can probably tell just from that we've probably got a few screws missing, but it's really a love project. And the main driving force behind this is that we just really, really, really want to do it together. And I feel like it's a group of people that enables each other to be somehow better than the sum of their parts. And everybody has a very strong character, and we're all quite different. But I think that results in something exciting and something fresh whenever we meet. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to exploring some pieces at the Lammermuir.
And it's interesting that you're kind of launching the quartet not with such standard repertoire that you'd expect, Beethoven and so on, and Mozart and so on, but you're including a quartet by your countryman Szymanowski. Yes, I mean, of course, we've done quite a bit of classical repertoire, which we love, and I think it's a great starting point for quartets, especially to play a lot of Haydn and Mozart. But we are playing the harp quartet by Beethoven, actually, which was possibly the first piece that we learned. Yes, the Szymanowski quartet, it was my idea, and I think both of the string quartets by Szymanowski are incredibly underrated, and they're just so ravishingly gorgeous. And I guess they combine a lot of the impressionist and symbolist ideas of the time, but his musical language is also completely unique. And I don't think it's difficult in reception at all. It's very evocative, incredibly sensual. And the quartet fell in love with the piece as well, which makes me very happy.
So, I mean, a festival is sort of the ideal place to do excellent repertoire that people don't know, because what we do is build build relationships with artists, and then they trust the artist and they'll go with the journey with the artist. I mean, I suppose the Schumann violin concerto it's not done that much. It's not really mainstream. It's not the Brahms, but everybody who knows it has a real affection for it. Is this the first time you've played it, or is it a piece you've always known?
It's going to be the first time playing it for me, but I have been completely obsessing over this piece for many years. So I'm so happy that it's going to be possible to play it there. And I remember from the very first concert with Jeremy that I played at Lammermuir. I mean, Ives was new for me. I think it was new for everybody there. And the trust of the audience was really palpable. And I think it's very special that you've managed to create this sort of trust and willingness for people to hear anything. And now the Schumann, I couldn't be any more thrilled about it. It's not played, well, it's becoming a little more mainstream now, but still not as much as the other main violin concertos out there. And it is just so stunning.
Why do you think it's not played so much, Maria?
Honestly, it's not maybe the most obviously virtuosic piece. Schumann is, I think, generally probably a composer who deals with a lot of the inner world. And I suppose there's something incredibly intimate about it and searching in a way that is an extrovert. But to be honest, I don't quite understand it because, for example, the first movement has this incredible heroic quality, almost a medieval kind of pride in it, and it is definitely exciting music. So I'm not totally sure. When I heard it for the first time, I was completely captivated. But maybe it is something to do with the searchings of the inner world that perhaps one has to trust the concert to be taken there.
Schumann is the end of a remarkable musical journey during the course of the festival, which starts quite soon, and we really, really look forward to seeing you again back at Lammermuir for the third time now. So see you next week.
I really can't wait, and there are many, many treats to look forward to.
That was Maria Włoszczowska. She'll be playing Schumann's violin concerto with the Royal Northern Sinfonia in a programme that combines Schumann with Mendelssohn, including his magical Midsummer Night's Dream music in the closing concert of this year's Lammermuir Festival in Haddington on Monday, the 16th of September.
And that's it for this week. We'll be back with another podcast a week from now when we'll have more guests and we'll actually be at the festival. Can't wait. From Hugh and me, thanks for listening. Bye for now.